Let's get to it. All right, we are live. All four of us.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Feels good, guys. Look, we're all in the we're all not traveling this time too.
Yeah, we're all back where we are. We've brought a fourth.
Hey, and I'll be traveling tomorrow, so that's gonna be
Where you
fun.
going? I gotta know.
Going to Santa Fe.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're flying into Albuquerque, driving to Santa Fe for 3 days, and then driving up to right outside Durango, Colorado, which is where my brother lives. So
Oh, incredible.
yeah,
It's gonna be
whole
really
week
great
vacation,
trip.
first one I've had in probably 3 years. So
Nice.
Oh, wow,
yeah,
that's gonna
it'll
be
be
great.
fun. But yeah, but happy to join you guys on my penultimate day before vacation.
Hey, no better way to start off a vacation than with a podcast. So
Indeed.
Will you be packing during? Because I can give advice if you want.
Oh,
Like while we're podcasting, you're just folding undies.
I'll be milling around back here. It's
Yeah,
like, what?
exactly. Do I need the cat tree?
why does he sound
We were
so
supposed to
distant?
watch a movie.
All right, let's get into it. Hey, everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And joining us this week is friend of the show, Wil Smith. Will, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you here to promote?
Trying to right the wrongs of having slapped Chris Rock 3 years ago. No. No, I've known Alan for probably, what, 10 years now?
Yeah, 10 years. Over 10 years.
Been over 10 years, yeah. So we've worked on some film projects together. He's introduced me to Ryan a few years ago when we worked on a 48-hour film fest. I've not met Devin in person, but I've listened to the podcast plenty of times, so I feel like I kind of know you already.
Oh, great.
But yeah, fellow geek nerd, film buff, that kind of thing, convention going, talking movie quotes and whatnot. But I'm also the illustrator on a new self-published comic book that's come out this year. So hit shelves, as in the internet, our web store, in late December, early January, and we're pretty close to finishing up issue number 2, or I'm very close to finishing my end of issue number 2, which is going to be pretty wild. A lot of fun there. So we can talk a little bit about that. You've all read it at this point, yeah?
I have.
I have not had the chance to, sadly. I've known
Which
you
is
the
funny
longest.
because you were a Kickstarter contributor.
Wait,
One of the first people to get it.
Yeah, I just
No chance.
it's on the list. I've got a whole shelf of comics here that I got to get through, and that's one of them. So
oh yeah, my to read pile is daunting at the very least. But I like to let issues pile up so I can read them all in one go.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
certainly
don't
have
worry.
that. And
People that I live near that picked up a copy at our launch event haven't read it yet, which was back in January. I'm like, oh, you read it yet? They're like, nah.
I had every intention of reading it today, but I made the mistake of going fishing earlier, and then when I got home, I needed a nap. So I woke up at 5. I was like, okay, time to podcast. Let's get going.
Well, when you catch one that's this big,
this big.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw shade at your fishing skills because I don't know.
I didn't catch anything. My sister caught the biggest bass I've ever seen in my life. So it was like 19 inches.
How big was it?
19 inches, 3 pounds.
That's weirdly specific.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that. Okay.
Yeah. But we'll talk more about the comic here in a second. Usually we start off the show talking about things that we've watched in pop culture. Since we just did the show a few days ago, we don't really have much. But I figured we all had the chance to see the trailer for Venom: The Last Dance. Or as I like to call it, Venom Horse.
I mean, I haven't even watched the whole trailer. I just watched the Venom Horse part and was like, I'm done. That's the whole movie for me. That's all I need.
Will, do you like the Venom movies or no?
I do not.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm the same way.
Alan and I and our friend Edwin went to see the first Venom after one of our film shoots, and we all left the theater very angry. We're very disappointed. I don't know. I will say I saw Madam Web in the theater.
Oh god, yeah, me too.
Same.
Well, I live in Charlottesville, Virginia. We have an Alamo Draft House. and I have the Alamo movie pass. So technically, I wasn't paying for it.
Okay.
I'd already seen enough movies to pay for the pass, so it was free. So all I wasted was my time. Uh, but that movie is bonkers hilarious. So I would recommend watching it if you can watch it for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, Venom was just a big old swing and a miss.
I
Yeah.
really like Venom 2 is the only movie in recent memory that I almost walked out of. I could not get through the rave scene, especially when the line "I'm out of the Eddie closet" happened. I went, I think I'm done. Am I done? I might be done.
Yeah.
Ah.
I love those movies. They are hysterical. They are not meant to be serious. I love the back and forth between Eddie and Venom. I have not read enough to know anything about Venom besides what I almost don't remember from the Spider-Man comic. So that's the point of view I've taken towards those movies, and I watch them purely as comedy because there's no seriousness in it at all. I love the trailer for the third one. It's going to be ridiculous, and I can't wait. It's going to be the first movie to sell 1 trillion tickets. I'm saying it now.
Wow.
It's weird to me that they're ending the Venom franchise because they're saying this is the last one, but like they still haven't really kicked off their Spider-Verse movies with all these villains that they're trying to set up. So I don't know if it's like a big fake out. Like they said the last Jurassic World was going to be the last one, and now they're making another one. Like not even 2 years later.
Are they?
So yeah,
Ooh.
not with Chris Pratt or anything, but I think they got Scarlett Johansson.
Somebody, I saw some news that like they're circling somebody for the next part of the franchise. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't see Venom 2. I've been kind of wanting to, just out of morbid curiosity. Based on the film choice this week, I like bad movies.
I do too, though.
So
I mean, the one nice thing I do for these people in the podcast is that I don't make them watch like the bad movies that I really truly love. Like we haven't seen Human Centipede on here.
Oof.
We saw a Sharknado. We did do Sharknado once.
Okay.
But we haven't done what was it, Iron Sky, I think. We haven't done those movies.
I want you to do Iron Sky. I want you to do the one with the priest raptor or whatever that is.
Velocipaster?
Yeah.
Oh, Will knows. That's a good one. Classic.
Yeah. I'm actually alarmed that when I gave Alan the list of movies that Miami Connection was not one of them. Like the next day I was like, why didn't I? Miami Connection is probably my most frequently watched bad movie. The theatrical one-sheet poster is in my bathroom. It matches the color scheme. It's sky blue in there.
It's sky blue that goes to pink, right? Am I looking at the right one?
Indeed.
This is incredible.
With YK Kim just doing this.
He looks disturbed. Like he doesn't even look ready to fight. He looks like he's holding in a fart.
Well, if you watch the movie, he's clearly in his like mid 40s, and he's supposed to be in like university college.
Hey,
I might watch this for fun. This is
He also-
incredible.
the guy's a late bloomer. There's no, there's nothing wrong with that.
I know way too much about that movie, and I will not waste too much time talking about that because I have much more to talk about coming up.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as things that we've watched recently, shortly before you posted your Roadhouse episode, I saw Roadhouse at the theater. Alamo Drafthouse was doing one of their retro screenings of Roadhouse,
nice.
and boy howdy, that movie is just solid gold. Also, it was under, they have like kind of like programs, and this was under their Queer Film Theory 101 banner.
Was it really?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
That's not a read I've had on that.
It was introduced by someone who works for Drafthouse and kind of puts these together, and he was explaining that this honestly, after he introduced and we watched the movie, that movie is so in the closet it's picking out shoes. Like
so
every guy, every male in this movie really just wants to fuck each other. But they can't, so they fight about it.
Yeah.
So, are we saying that the ultimate triple feature for that would be that and Top Gun?
Oh, Top Gun 1?
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like everything with Dalton and the volleyball scene. Just
Yeah.
Yes,
there we go.
Yeah.
Bunch of sweaty dudes.
it's incredible.
Not a woman in sight.
Playing with the boys.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And also, so I went with my partner who is a big old Gilmore Girls fan, and she
Okay.
at a certain point points at the screen, and it's the head server at the Double Deuce, and she's like, she's on Gilmore Girls, and I was like, oh, okay. And we kind of backtracked her filmography. I can't remember what her name, Kathleen something or other. She plays Luke's sister on Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
So far as I know, I've not watched the show yet. I've been meaning to, but she plays Luke's sister. But at a certain point, this is how far down the wormhole it went. At a certain point in Gilmore Girls, they are watching the show Cop Rock, the musical police procedural.
Yeah,
from
that's
the early
insane.
90s.
That is an insane reference.
And they're watching Cop Rock, and she was on Cop Rock. So I'm like, this is an episode she's not in, but they're watching something that she is actively a part of.
That is so weird.
That's a weird, like, kind of fourth wall breaking.
They did a lot of that on Gilmore Girls. I really think you would enjoy it. My wife had me watch it through, and then I watched it on my own voluntarily twice all the way through. It's a highly good show.
I've listened to a couple episodes of Gilmore Guys, mostly because one of my favorite podcasters, Jason Mantzoukas, has guested on it several times.
I love Jason Mantzoukas. Oh, I didn't know you were a fan. That's incredible.
Yeah, he's a big old gilly.
Is he?
Yeah.
I love it. I love that.
Anyway, so that's the 6 degrees of what the fuck. That other than that, I'm splitting my time between trying to finish the comic book and rewarding myself by playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is just
forever. I just beat it. Forever.
It's so long.
It's so long. It's so. How far are you? Gotta know.
Along the theme of the movie we're about to discuss, holy tonal whiplash.
Yes, every other second.
It's like, oh, you go from the gold saucer where it's just flamboyant sparkles and video game dancers, and then you go to Barrett's backstory, which is just hellaciously tragic.
Yes, like within
like,
minutes.
Oh, they were just in bee costumes. What just happened?
I'm glad you know. Yep. This has been my life for a long time now, too.
So, Will, tell us a little bit about Southtown.
Southtown. So it's a futuristic cyberpunk kind of neo-noir genred project. My buddy Joshua Eady is the writer. He came up with it whilst stuck in corporate hell. Call center kind of stuff. And now he's a beer delivery driver. And he lives in Richmond. Our colorist is also formerly from Richmond. She just moved to Colorado. But it's based on Richmond, Virginia, which is now called River City, as far as the narrative is concerned. And Southtown is the south side of Richmond, which is real shitty. Would not want to get caught there during the day, let alone after dark. And it just follows a gang that runs their operations out of a dive bar called the Rat's Nest, and they get there's sort of a heist gone wrong, like a tech heist gone wrong, that kind of wraps them up into a larger corporate conspiracy. And we are following the main character, Courtney, aka Dash, who makes her way from River City's upper crust into Southtown, looking for a little excitement, and gets a little more than she bargained for.
Awesome. We talked about this before. Devin and Ryan, you got a chance to read it, right?
I did.
I got through half of it, and then I realized that I had too much stuff I had to get done before jumping on here because I didn't realize what time it was. So like I will be getting back to it. I think I was on page like 15 or 16.
Okay.
But I'm definitely going to get back into it because I like it so far. So
awesome. Yeah, the first issue was all drawn by hand, so I did everything
Wow.
like pencils and inks like live. Um, and I for the second issue, I'm actually going to be I'm inking it digitally, so
Nice.
it's making the coloring process go a lot faster. We also brought on a second colorist who works out of Pittsburgh, Mallory, and she's just Mallory and Allie are super talented. They're taking what I'm doing and just making it incredible. I can hardly take credit for how it's going to look when it comes through. But yeah, so the second issue, doing it digitally will make it faster and also probably a lot cleaner. We are probably going with a different printer this time around. We weren't super thrilled with the quality that we got.
Mm.
But if you're reading the digital, then you're getting it like super high res, so it should look great.
I mean, it does. I mean, if
Mm.
you know, I've read the whole thing. I like the plot a lot. And my first question for you was going to be, can I read the second one? And the answer is no. But you end it at a really good point where I'm like, okay, now what? Like, now what happens? So I'm excited to read the rest.
See, I can make. Yep, my iPad is over there. I can do a little preview.
Yeah, that'd be
Preview
awesome.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't know about the real life
Podcast
connections
exclusive.
to it. I know. I'm
Hey.
excited. So hold on, you were the one that did the drawings, right?
Yes.
I don't know how much direction you specifically were given in the drawings, and you don't have to divulge that much information, but I gotta say, some of the background sight gags in this are really great. Like, especially when you first get the wide shot of the bar and they want Margaret, what is it? Margaret Price or Marcus Price?
Market
And
price.
it's just Market Price. Yeah, and it's just a picture of a penis. Like,
It's a wanted poster with a half boner.
yeah. Yeah. And like I was like, was that written? Did he decide to do? There's a lot of like really cool little things like that kind of dotted around this that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And the other thing I
thank you.
liked too specifically about the drawing was like when people get shot, I don't want to spoilers, but the bullet holes seam, and that makes things feel very visceral in terms of like I've never seen that in a comic before, and it made it really visceral to read or watch. So yeah, well done, man.
Nice, thank you. Let's see. In the library. There we go. So what I'm doing for this current issue, the back cover is going to be a preview of the third issue cover, which I'm
Oh, yeah.
already getting ahead of.
Nice.
But here we go.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's
So-
very cool.
Yeah, the title of the third issue is The Seventh Circle, which is the name of a club where they find themselves. Named for the 9 levels of hell from Dante's Inferno.
Yep.
And also pretty funny, the seventh circle is violence. So
Oh, that's a really
Very
good. I really like when comic books match both like in tone, like in terms of writing tone, but then also in like the drawing and the color tone.
mhm.
And like this definitely has a vibe. Like I really like.
Oh yeah, like what Allie did with the first issue, she got that like kind of like real slick neon like Blade Runner mute kind of style, and we kind of want to like make everything kind of like washed in just this kind of gritty neon thing. And to answer your question, most of the
Yeah.
background sight gags are all me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you did a great job.
If you zoom in close enough on one of the pages, it might be the spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read it yet. Trans blowjob scene.
Yep.
They're up against a car that has the license plate deep cut reference. I see you ate one. Am I? The old reference to 30 Rock.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm seeing that right now. I just zoomed in. It's right there. Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff though. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, I dropped in a few little references and Easter eggs from stuff that I like. The bottom of Haggard's shoe on the 2-page splash.
Yeah.
The brand of shoe is LG Fuad, which is a Motion City soundtrack song called "Let's Get Fucked Up and Die." So some of it's a little on the nose, and I appreciate that. But sometimes, but yeah, I like to kind of pepper things in just for the eagle-eyed viewer out there.
I didn't know if this was an intentional thing or if I'm drawing too many connections, but is the symbol for the rat's nest the same thing as mouse? Or is it called mouse? There's a line of comic books about
From the
yeah,
about like
the
Auschwitz.
Holocaust. Yeah.
That was not intentional.
Okay. It looked similar. I was like, is that what that is? But
Though we do part of our Kickstarter campaign, we did make
I love that.
Oh, nice.
That's
Rats
very
Nest.
cool.
So
Yeah, cool.
that was a Kickstarter exclusive. We might make more. We do have Rat's Nest patches available on our website though, so
I like that.
you can definitely make your own patches.
So, what has
Very
been your
cool.
favorite part of this process of creating the comic and getting it out there for audiences?
It's given me a really good excuse to just stay artistically active. Which is I've kind of like ups and downs over the last like 20 years after like finishing school and dropping out of college and then going back to college and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely like given me a reason to keep drawing. And it also it's a level of accountability because I've got the team. I don't want to let them down by dragging my feet and that kind of thing. So Joshua's already written probably 15 issues. So
Oh, wow.
Holy
yeah,
cow.
the first major arc is 10 long. So I mean that this could be going on for quite a while. I don't see myself parting ways with the crew or the project anytime soon. I could go completely if I were to find more work or come up with other projects that I could do. I could see myself pulling a Jason Sean Alexander. That guy's a madman. He was actively drawing Spawn for a while. He has a cyberpunk comic called Empty Zone, which I highly recommend. And he also does Philadelphia with Rodney Barnes, which is a vampire story. And they also both collaborated on adapting a modern realistic take on Blackula, which I bought at the last convention that they were both at because Rodney Barnes was one of the creators of or one of the writers on the Boondocks.
Okay.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been working in film for quite a while, but now he's a pretty active comic writer.
Wow.
Very cool.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So I've seen you at a few cons, mostly GalaxyCon in Richmond. Is that world new to you, like going to cons as a vendor?
Relatively, making it more regular anyway.
Okay.
I went to a convention in upstate New York where I grew up and went to high school. I will be attending that again this year. I was supposed to go last year, but it conflicted with one of my best friends getting married, so it wasn't about to bail on that. But that's in near Corning, New York.
Okay.
Twin Tiers Comic Con. So that's Alan, you're in like Harris Mechanicsburg
Yeah.
area. That's probably 3 hours.
Okay.
The 3 hours up 15.
Yeah.
So
I grew up in Williamsport, or I was born in Williamsport. Have family up there. So
yeah,
I
Williamsport's
see
the
the
halfway.
signs. Yeah, I see the signs for Corning all the time, and have driven through there to get to Niagara Falls.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
So that'll be happening. I don't know what they don't. They're a little bit more artist friendly because I was actually there was an article that was written by another artist that I follow about how things like GalaxyCon and Fan Expo are not really ideal for artists because they're a little more heavy on the celebrity experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
So people spend all their money on meet and greets, photo ops, and signatures, and what by the time they get to the artist alley, they're just kind of like, "That's neat, bye."
Yeah.
So, and I've done 3 Galaxy Cons now, 2 in Richmond. The first one, I think you came through.
Yeah, I think I
it was
surprised you.
my art booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bought a couple prints too. I think.
Yeah, I brought
You
some.
got-
I got the Good Place print that you.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
looking to
wow.
see if I had it here.
Yeah, it's the Ted Danson's fire squid, basically.
Yeah.
So I've got like Ted Danson's face, and then my interpretation of what a fire squid looks like,
Incredible.
which is pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a fun convention because I knew you were going to be there. You didn't know I was coming, so
I had no idea.
I just showed up to your booth because it was the trifecta of I got to surprise Will, I got to meet Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville, and my nephew was born a few weeks before that, so I got to meet him for the first time, and this was like a week before COVID. Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh my
Wow.
God, it was.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it
So-
was like 2 weeks later, everything was closed.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was effectively unemployed.
Yeah.
Shortly
Well,
after that.
I remember some of the celebrities like being careful because they were scared. Like Luke from Gilmore Girls, bring it back full circle, was like fist bumps for coronavirus, like just making sure. Like
Wow.
it was such a weird experience, but it was awesome to like be able to surprise you and like support you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
at
That
the
was a
convention
lot of
there,
fun.
so.
I think I did give a picture of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I did like a 3-part Guardians of the Galaxy painting, and the middle were the Guardians proper, minus Mantis because 2 hadn't come out yet,
Mm.
or it had just come out, or but I had started it before it came out and finished it well after. But the right side of the 3 parts was Yondu, Kraglin, and Aisha.
Ah.
And so I gave a little print of that to Sean Gunn because
Aw.
his line wasn't very long. It was Michael Rooker's line that was insane. And then I gave
People want to meet Mary
but
Poppins.
Mary Poppins, y'all. Which is still it just tickles me every time I see that.
Such a good.
But I also drew some pictures of Dante, Randall, and Jay for Jason Mewes, Brian O'Halloran, and
Aw.
Jeff Anderson. And they were super nice. And Jeff
Yeah.
Jeff actually came by my booth too to kind of like look at the rest of my
Oh,
stuff.
nice.
Which
I love
I've met him a handful of times and he's super cool. Like they're both really nice.
I haven't met either of them, but I met Jason Mewes at the convention I surprised you at.
Mhm.
And like he was one of the celebrities who did not give a shit about COVID because he's like, yeah, give me your phone, like yeah, selfie, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Snooch.
He was so caffeinated.
Yeah.
That guy. I'm super happy. I'm super happy that he's sober and like
Yeah.
and doing really really well there. But he is just the most amped up person I've ever seen. Like when I came by to give them their drawings, he wasn't there, and then I see him just like running around the corner of one of the vendor booths with someone else's camera taking a selfie video of them just chasing after him. He's like, yeah, we just went around the whole floor. Like, cool. All right, here you go.
Yeah.
He's like, thanks, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, we're looking at we're trying to get into PAX Unplugged, which
Oh,
is
nice.
another, I think that's Philadelphia.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to get in PAX Unplugged. We probably won't hear anything about that until like August because it's not until December. So
Very cool.
yeah, we're looking into next year's con circuit just to kind of get more things out there. Yeah, this year was a little weird because we tried to get into GalaxyCon and they took a really long time to get back to us because we applied for a larger table.
Oh yeah.
Since we have more comics, and they never got back to us, so we withdrew our application. And then we tried to get into Philly Fan Expo. Same deal. It was like, but they charge you right away. Like they take your money,
Yeah.
and they accept or don't accept, and then they refund you if they don't accept you. We didn't hear anything, and it was supposed to take place the first weekend of May, and by the first weekend of April, we still hadn't heard anything.
What?
And we're like, there's no way we're going to get a hotel. There's no way we're going to be able to set travel plans. There's no way we're going to get off work for this.
Yeah.
Because we are full-time regular workers.
Yeah.
So I had to like email them 3 times just to get our money back, which is good because now we have money to print issue 2 with. So
Nice. Well, you gotta let me know when it's out.
yeah, so this year we'll probably have a pre-order going up live in another month or so
Nice.
to get issue 2 out on shelves and things like that. We have it in a couple of local comic shops too, which is fun.
Oh, I love that.
Very cool.
Yeah, they're very supportive of independent talent in town. So
Cool.
Very awesome. All right.
yeah,
On that note, let's get into the bulk of the episode, which will be Southland Tales, starring Dwayne Johnson, Sean William Scott, and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny to me that you have all of these long names, but Dwayne Johnson shortened his name for this one. This is the first one where he didn't go have The Rock in his name.
Yeah, I think this was around a time when he was trying to separate himself from The Rock.
Yeah.
I think The Rundown had just happened, and he was The Rock for that one. And then he tried to go by Dwayne Johnson, and I guess it didn't have the right thing, and then he just decided to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which is a mouthful, but he's also a very large man. So
Yes.
I don't. I'm
So
really sorry. I'm gonna relocate my computer because my let's see. I don't know. I can't get my blinds to work, so I'm just gonna do this. There we go. Hi.
Yeah, there we
I'm
go.
still. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. So, Will, we like to start off talking about whoever brings the film, talking about the first time they saw this film. So, tell us about the first time you saw Southland Tales.
Oh man, that's a tale. Just right out the gate, this is the sophomore feature of director Richard Kelly, known for famously Donnie Darko, which on paper, not on paper, it sounds weird, but is a competent first film. I used to love it when I was in my 20s. I don't think it's aged extremely well.
No.
It has a lot of incel vibes on the page and kind of like a martyr complex. You can definitely tell that Richard Kelly was writing himself into the mix. But anyway, so this was his second film, and Donnie Darko came out in 2001. Southland Tales did not come out until 2008. So it was in development hell for a pretty long time. It was a pretty large project. I think he had conceived it as like a 6-episode story. And there are actually 3 comic books that tie in that create the first 3 chapters of this story.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Which I have read, and it doesn't help.
I was going to ask.
So,
I don't see that. Yeah.
So yeah, the film takes place in 2007, I believe.
Yeah.
Like during a heat wave, and the movie didn't actually come out until 2008, so it had already dated itself. It's one of those things where it's like Predator 2, came out in 92, set in 97. It's like, oh, the heat wave in LA. Oh no. There's always a heat wave in LA, apparently.
Always.
So I had been circling this project as a fan of Donnie Darko for quite a while. It's like, when's this coming out? When is this coming out? And they had like an interactive website and like weird puzzles that you could do, and like it was very vague about what the project was, what the plot was. We knew the cast, and it was just as weird on paper then as it is now actually watching it. Like the IMDb page, it just reads like I don't even have a fun analogy for what it reads like. It's like the 3 leads and then a bunch of SNL alums.
Yeah.
It's like having seen this film, like when you play 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon now, like this is a film that you can just connect anyone to now.
Yep.
Like it's insane.
It's abs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so it famously went to the Cannes Film Festival. I don't think it got booed, but it definitely had some walkouts. It won the Palme d'Or prize at Cannes, and I think that's just a prize they give to films that are bad.
Really?
or films that people don't like. I think Cronenberg's got a couple of those. But yeah, so it went to Cannes, and then they cut it down. And I'll tell you right now, the version of this that I watched last night that I actually haven't finished, but I've seen this movie enough times to remember how it ends, was the Cannes film cut that Arrow Releasing put out.
Okay.
And it's a good 25 minutes longer.
It's almost 3 hours then, this movie.
It's like it's every bit of 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like you feel every minute.
I can't wait to hear the differences.
Well, right out the gate, one big difference. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but toward the end, when the ice cream truck is floating,
Yeah.
and if anyone hasn't seen the movie and they heard me say that, they'll be like, "What?"
Yeah.
So during the floating ice cream truck scene, there's like a party scene on the beach near Justin Timberlake's character, and you see Janine Garofalo in army fatigues drinking a beer.
Yeah.
She just kind of wanders by. She's a full-on character in the director's cut. But in the regular movie, she's just there for like 2 seconds and then she's gone. She's kind of so Kevin Smith's character, the really old guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Again, weird casting choice, but Kevin Smith is also a big Richard Kelly fan. He did a commentary track on Donnie Darko's director's cut.
Oh wow.
So Janine Garofalo is kind of his communications officer. So they exchange some very pointless dialogue.
Hold on, wait a minute. Is that not in the Cannes version? Or that's in the Cannes version, but not the theatrical
That's in the
cut?
Cannes version.
Oh my god, I watched the Cannes version.
You did?
I did watch the Cannes version.
Wow, endurance trial.
I wonder if that's what you have available in Europe then.
I think it is. I think that's the version that I had, the only version I could get my hands on, because Janine Garofalo and Kevin Smith were talking like the whole movie.
Oh yeah.
Is that not in the theatrical cut?
In the version
wasn't
that
in
came
what I
out,
watched.
like,
It wasn't what I watched either.
okay,
Oh,
the
shit,
official
yeah,
version,
what's
she's
going
just kind
on?
of like there and then gone. So basically, I just like kind of sat on my hands waiting for this movie to come out for probably 5 full years, and then it came out on DVD. I think the video rental business was on its way out, so there was nowhere to get it. So I went to Target and I bought it on DVD.
Yes.
And I watched it that night with a group of friends who I don't really talk to anymore.
Because of that night?
It might be. I don't know. I mean, in all honesty, we probably just like went our separate ways. But I mean, yeah, maybe that movie was responsible for just the death of 4 friendships. Also, famously, this was one of the very first Blu-ray discs ever made.
It's incredible.
You know, that sounds right. Like for some reason, like this movie has like been in the back of my mind for like a trivia question answer, and I was like, that's probably what it is. Like it was one of the first Blu-rays because I remember hearing this name a lot, like around the time it came out. So
yeah. So we watched the movie and we're just like, what was that? And in my stubborn fashion, I convinced myself that I liked this movie for a very long time. I watched it multiple times, just trying to wrap my head around it. Showed it to other people who were just like, "What is wrong with you?" I got the comic prequels that were published by, I think it might have been Dark Horse that put those out.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was Dark Horse that published those. And honestly, it's a terrible movie that I love with all my heart. It's just such a swing and a miss, and also just like it's instead of tonal whiplash, it gives you a tonal concussion.
mm-hmm.
It's like, is it funny? Is it serious? Is it trying to be scary? Is it a party movie? I don't really know. There are multiple. On my notes here, just like people pouring beer on their heads. This happens multiple times.
All the time.
It has a full-on music video in the middle of it.
The Killers.
With Justin Timberlake singing
The
or
Killers?
lip-syncing to a Killers song. It's like,
Yeah.
what? It's kind
That
of like,
was one of my favorite songs in high school.
yep.
Huh.
And it's like, the sun is driving me nuts, and I can't get my. There we go. Hey, I fixed it.
Nice.
Yeah, where was I? I forget. So yeah, it's imagine Magnolia,
Okay.
but directed and written by a high school edgelord.
No.
So it's like there are references in it that are like that you can tell he thinks are clever, but are basically just like on the nose. Like, I read a book by Philip K. Dick.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, like at one point, there's a reference to like a famous porn, like a porn film. Like somebody's like, "Are you in Deep Throat 2?" No, I'm not in that. Are you Deep Throat 2? Like, no, I'm not in that movie. Like, it's like, okay, you're referencing Deep Throat. Like,
Yeah, and it's I think one of the other things I wrote down was the John Lovitz character. Um, when when he murders, okay, this is people are going to be like, what is he talking about? When John Lovitz murders Amy Poehler and Wood Harris, he puts his gun away and says, "Flow my tears," which is not so much a reference, but just blatantly saying the title of a Philip K. Dick book. Philip K. Dick wrote a book called "Flow My Tears," the policeman said.
wow.
Oh, it's literally
Which
that
has
scene.
no reference to the material or the story that it's about. It's just the title of a book.
Oh man, John Lovitz in this, like John Lovitz and Kevin Smith being in this together is like they don't have a scene, but just both of them in this like wrinkles my brain a little bit because I know the history there between the two of them and the huge falling out they had over Hollywood Babylon.
I don't know this.
So Kevin Smith does a show with Ralph Garman called Hollywood Babylon, and in the early days of the show's been going on for like 14 years now. They're going on 15 years. They started off at like the Smod Castle podcast theater in LA, and then eventually moved to the John Lovitz Comedy Club. And they had a huge falling out over pay, to the point where John Lovitz kicked them out of the theater, and they had to like find a new venue last minute. And there's a whole episode where Ralph Garman like just goes off on John Lovitz, and like every once in a while, if he ever comes up in the news that they talk about, they're like, "Fuck that guy," like to this day, because he was even like on the show filling in for Kevin Smith when they were making Red State. Like he came on and co-hosted with Ralph Garman. It's really funny to like listen to that show from the beginning and then just see the evolution of John Lovitz cool to John Lovitz a dick. So.
And that character is so weird because you can like if I had to like posit what happened making this movie, the character Bart Bookman,
All right,
real character name. I imagine that Richard Kelly offered this role to Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis smartly said no, and they're like, "Who else can we get?" John Lovitz. Because John Lovitz is playing it like Bruce Willis, which is really weird.
So what I'm hearing is who will Kevin Smith have beef with that we can put in this role?
I did know about the Bruce Willis thing. I've seen Kevin talk about that in person. So let me look at these notes. Eli Roth is also in this movie. He gets killed on the toilet. During the first raid by the urban police, cleverly named Upu 2.
Yeah.
So, urban police units or UPUs. So yeah. I mean, I'm amazed that they didn't just call them pigskins or something. Like it's as on the nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eli Roth gets killed on a toilet. Then the other guy gets killed on a toilet, and he poses like Jesus. And then Sean William Scott does the Jesus pose and falls into a dumpster.
And then just chills there for like a whole act.
Yeah, he's in that dumpster for that. Well, that version of Sean William Scott's character is in that dumpster for probably more than half the movie. You get to see two cars have sex with each other.
Okay, so I was watching this movie, and at that point, my wife walked into the room.
The best point for that second.
I went, look at this. What am I watching? And like, I get it. Like, okay, I need you to know, what is this movie satirizing? Because the movie...
Everything.
Is it just a really broad satire?
It is satirizing our military industrial complex. So you're talking everything from the military down to local police forces. It's satirizing entertainment. It's satirizing our, need for everything needs to be advertised. I mean, that's partly why the beer was being poured over their heads, because when when he was probably writing this movie, that was at the height of the stupidity of the Budweiser commercials of like, a guy, he's lonely and no one will talk to him. Then he reaches into a cooler and pulls out a Budweiser or a Bud Light, and all of a sudden 10 bikini babes start dancing around him because he's drinking a Budweiser. Like, that was the height of their advertising back then. And that was clearly what they were doing with Dwayne drinking the beer the way he was on the boardwalk, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Oh, with they're all still in the rings, and he just
he's just pouring them.
I'll have you know, I almost went to buy a 6-pack just so I could do that on the show.
It was a really good choice to have him do that. That was very funny.
So, and
I mean, that would have, A plus.
Yeah, and to be honest, I told my wife after watching this movie, I don't know if this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen or if this is the smartest thing I've ever seen. To be honest, because like the way it was satirizing like U.S. politics at that given time was perfect for me. Because like one of my favorite scenes, well, actually two, is one during the news broadcast. They mentioned the Patriot Act and how they're like adding more to it. And then the second part is the political ad for the Republican Party with the guy is with the cowboy hat, and he says, there's people out there who believe that their private information is more important than the lives of my family from a terrorist attack. Well, that's why I have this gun, so I can take care of it myself.
Yeah!
Like, there are so many points in this movie that I love because this is something I can point to and say, see, nothing's changed. This is relevant now. Nothing changes.
I mean, other than Holmes Osborne's president being a carbon copy of George Bush too, that's pretty on the nose.
Well, that, and they used George Bush's video in this movie, which is funny to me because I'm surprised they even allowed that, because during there was a movie about going to Mars or something, or some movie where they used a clip of Bill Clinton in the 90s of like talking about this like great thing that they discovered, it's like life on Mars or something. And because Clinton had done a speech about finding micro life on Mars, they took that news clip and used it in the movie, and then the studio got sued by the White House because they didn't ask permission to use it.
Wow.
So there's a lot in this movie that they did that I'm very much like, how did they get approval for this? Like,
I hope this is like the special exception that they've made for this. They're like, that Mars movie? No, this one.
Yeah, like, I am not surprised Hustler said yes for them to use their stuff for this movie, because they would say yes to anything. But when it comes to, like, I'm very surprised that they got any company to say yes to this movie because of its context.
Well,
like,
so here was my like actual plot, or actual like path through this movie is like, it started right, and it actually starts kind of, it starts with a T.S. Williams poem that's like a bit much. I was like, okay, he's laying down some very serious groundwork with T.S. Eliot. Can he stick the landing? And I actually thought the pan through with the camera was great. And then it starts getting into satire. They're satiring the energy related. Oh, they're satiring politics. That's it. Oh, they're also satiring Los Angeles. Oh, they're satiring writers. And then halfway through, I'm like, are they satiring satire? What is this? And like, my brain dribbled out my nose and onto my shirt. And I'm like, I just want to watch The Rock make his hands do this. And like,
what a weird tip. Like what a weird choice that was. Like, acting wise.
Yeah.
And he does it a lot. Let's see. We got car sex. The I don't know. It's not even an office, or like the station where Kevin Smith's character exists is called Planet Telex, which is a Radiohead song. It's just like the references aren't even just like they're just there. Like, it's just like, I like Radiohead. That's what this is.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tim MTV group yoga. Each chapter of this movie is named after a song title. Actually,
I missed
I'll
that
look into this
completely.
real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, while we're doing that, I want to know from you guys. This is the first movie I ever think was in. This is the first 2.5 hour, 2 hour 40 minute long movie that I've ever watched that I actually think should be longer. Like I think that like this movie, in order to stick the landing on what it's trying to do, needs to be, and in Will, you actually brought this up. It needs to be like a 6 to 10 part miniseries on Netflix to
Yeah.
give these characters room to breathe. Each episode focuses on a different part of the world that is then being satirical against it. So like make the energy reliance one its own episode. Then pull focus over to like the satire about media. Like do that, and I think it's really clever. But I think in 2.5 hours it is a mind fuck.
Well,
Yeah, it's and more Wallace Shawn and Zelda Rubinstein.
Yes.
Mhm.
Less
always.
Bylink. Far less Bylink, please.
Yes.
I'm sorry, she looks like she smells bad.
No, I agree with you, Devin. Like,
Yeah.
and that's something that's happened recently. Like they took Baz Luhrmann's Australia and made it a mini series on
Oh.
Hulu.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Well, they did. They also fixed his Dark Materials.
Yeah.
The Golden Compass was a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And they made an HBO series out of it.
Well, no, for Australia, they just took the footage with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman and added supplemental stuff to make it a mini series and expand the story on Hulu. So maybe that's something that could happen. Like maybe someday if Richard Kelly gets somebody to throw money at him.
That's
happens.
the coda of this episode is going to be talking about what happened to that guy.
Yeah.
Ryan is a philanthropist now. Ryan, can you make this happen?
I wouldn't want to. That's what I've been trying to kind of like get in.
Darn it. Okay.
Here's my thing. This is another reason why I like this movie is because it comes at you so fast with everything. Because that like the whole thing about they show multiple times people watching multiple screens with multiple different news channels going on at the same exact time, and that's how in the early millennium, that's when like after 9/11 you had the crawler, and it took me 3 hours to watch this movie because I literally paused and read the crawlers at the bottom of the screen and made sure what the titles actually said because I was that invested of like the satire of this is like I want to see how close of what they make up fits, and everything did. Everything seemed legit for that time period, and with how crazy everything was coming at you in the movie fits someone sitting at home flipping between CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, their local news, and then whatever they were getting in their email because their uncle sent it to them. So like that's why I love this, because it jumped from one topic to another and it was mixing satire in scenes because this guy made up a completely different... The movie was a completely different like reality with all of our same problems. Everything was just turned up a notch. So the craziness you get online when you open up Facebook, then you open up Instagram, then you watch the news, then you watch, the Daily Show, then you go on to, Reddit, and, Reddit's knows that, oh, you lean a little bit left. Okay, here's a hardcore leftist page or something to follow. And it is that crazy. That's kind of why I like this movie. Like, I legit like this film.
Did you expect us to just like dump on this movie for an hour, Will? Like, did you expect us to actually like it like we do?
No, I was actually hoping you would find some appreciation of it because
cool.
I've grown to love this movie, warts and all, and it's a whole lot of warts. But it's also it's fun
Mainly
to
in the
dunk on, but it's also it's a fun movie to dunk on. It's a fun movie to also investigate a little further. So that's like I unabashedly love the ambition this movie had, whether it succeeds in them or not. Mostly not, but also kind of yeah.
I mean, even the craziness about like the fact that Dwayne's character goes by one name in one scene, and then he's referring to himself by his made-up name from the movie he wrote, and there's no like smoothness to it. it's extremely jerky, but this is my theory of how I can ignore all of the inconsistencies that don't make sense. Okay, this is how I do it. Dwayne, The Rock's character says that everyone has 1,000 people in their head, and those people keep your memories in line, and like they keep you stable or something along those lines. Like that's how he explains it. So that's how I see this movie. You have Justin Timberlake talking about his friend in the military that accidentally blew him up, and the mental illness that he's dealing with that. And the way I see it is that all of these other characters in inside this movie are the 1,000 people in that guy's head that he's trying to deal with and keep himself sane.
Ryan, don't do that to me.
And so at the end of the movie, he blows up that giant zeppelin, which was basically the symbol of like his doubt and fear and suicidal tendencies, and all of that other stuff. And then he comes out of the other end, not fixed, not better, but not suicidal because he's a pimp. I love this movie, guys. I'm sorry, but I do. I'm probably gonna buy it.
That line to come through. And that line does like the defining line of the movie doesn't even like show up until 20 minutes to the end.
Yeah.
Much like the weird Deus Ex Machina Lou Pucci character, like transaction denied, dog. Like,
I absolutely love that guy.
Yeah. He's great. Thumbsucker was a fantastic movie. He was also good in the remake of Evil Dead. But yeah, so he just kind of comes out of nowhere, and like I guess he's the drug dealer for Justin Timberlake, and his connection to it is it's like Alan said earlier, 6 degrees of everything.
Yeah,
just like and everything is so just like jumbled, and that was my comparison to Magnolia, where everything is kind of interconnected in really weird, intricate ways. It's just this one is on lots more drugs.
Yeah.
Considering Magnolia ends with a rain of frogs, but
yeah. Hey, Devin.
Yeah.
Do you bleed?
Okay, I found the chapters. Southland Tales, part 4. So chapters 1, 2, and 3 are Two Roads Diverge.
Okay.
Fingerprints, which is a reference to the stealing of thumbs for votes. And then the Mechanicals, I'm not sure exactly what that's a reference to. Those are the three graphic novels. And spoiler alert, you get to read the script that they talk about in the movie in the graphic novels.
All of it?
Most of it.
That's incredible.
And it has a lot to do. It references the fact that Sean William Scott hasn't pooped in 3 days. That's a significant part of that story.
Good.
And then so part 4, 5, and 6 are what the movie is. It's Temptation Waits, which is a song by Garbage.
Nice reference.
Memory Gospel, which is a song by Moby, who also did the score for the movie. And then the last one is Wave of Mutilation, which is a Pixies song, which is also on the soundtrack. So yeah, it's just like it's like a high school kid who was into like edgy music and like read all the wrong stuff and got bad grades. That was me, actually, by the way. Like, oh, you're supposed to read Great Expectations. I'm going to read Philip K. Dick instead. You know. And what's also weird is Richard Kelly has this weird obsession with this like fourth dimensional construct, because that was the crux of Donnie Darko, and it's also the physics plot of this movie, and he also reuses it again in his next film, The Box. So, is there a Richard Kelly verse? Who knows? But yeah, he likes to use the same quantum equations in all of his stuff to varying degrees.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it was after The Box. He hasn't done anything else. I don't even think he's got anything. Like, I don't think IMDb has anything listed for him.
Let's take a look here. I've got it up. The last credit he has is The Box for writing, producer.
I thought The Box was supposed to be pretty good. Was it good?
Mm,
Aw.
I
That's a
was not a
shame.
fan. It's also like an old like Twilight Zone episode, Richard Matheson story, um,
Oh.
or maybe it was Twilight Zone, maybe it was Outer Limits, one of the two. He's been on his in production. He's got a movie called Corpus Christi that has no synopsis, and I'm pretty sure that he's had that in development for a really long time.
Please let that movie just be about a corpse named Crispy.
It's not at all what you think it's gonna be.
Exactly. That's what I'm really hoping it is.
Oh man. So this is gonna be a left field question.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Cheeto eating woman and her obsession with wanting to give Jericho Kane a blowjob? Jericho Kane being Boxer Santaros being Dwayne
Of
The Rock
course.
Johnson.
Yeah. I think
Where does that fit into the satire, the plot, anything?
I have an idea, but
it's
Brian, yeah, go ahead.
I read it. I see it as like a toxic fan type thing.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like
that's how I looked at it. Like fan mail obsessed with the celebrity, and like that's why she calls him by that name and all that. And
Yeah, because you've got multiple celebrities have stories, especially from TV shows that run a long time, where fans will come up to them at the grocery store and talk to them and interact with them as they are their characters on the show. And it's just a crazy, our country's weird obsession with celebrity culture. You get these people that like see Lorelai on Gilmore Girls and sees the actress in person's like, "Hey Rory, how you doing?" Or Lorelai, and then they see him in person and they act like that's who they are. And I feel like that's where this is. Like, like it's a hardcore take on our celebrity obsession.
Mine's like a little. I mean, mine's basically the same thing. I thought that she was a consumer. Like, she does nothing but consume. Therefore, that's the only way that she could ever imagine interacting with somebody like that, is that she would, in the least cannibalistic way possible, consume that person as well. Because she's eating Cheetos the whole time. She's consuming. Yeah. I mean, that's what she does.
Well, not just that. She was also, like, because of the Patriot Act in the movie, she was watching video from, like, the restrooms at airports and, like, watching that video. So, thinking back on it now, I take that as her watching just junk television. Like, she was sitting there, instead of being on a couch alone in an apartment, watching crap TV. There you go, because they were all in the bathroom. Watching crap TV, gross. getting obsessed with a specific actor. She's at work doing her job. And then that like, gets into satiring corporate, like our obsession with work in this country as well.
I think he predicted binge culture. I think that's what that is. I think Richard Kelly was commenting to what he could see binge culture becoming. I'm giving him so much credit for this movie. I mean, he might be right.
Because
Kelly, genius or madman?
That's why I said before, I don't know if this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen or the most intelligent thing I've ever seen. Because, like here, another example. On the Zeppelin, right after that dance number thing that they do with, like, his, like, with the porn star and his wife and everything. And it has... Yeah, there we go, that. And you've got the inconceivable guy standing up on top of the on top of the balcony. Yeah. And it's like the entire movie, they're obsessed with like the neo-Marxist leftist movement and all this other stuff. But and everything's US themed in that blimp. And it's supposed to be like the Republican nominee for president's in there, and like it's hardcore, patriotism and conservative. But yet, when you look up at the when you look at the balcony where the where the like dull lights are, like underneath the railing,
Mhm.
it's lineage. It's quotes from Marx's book. It is literal quotes from Marx himself,
How did you catch
typed
that?
out. Because okay, so it's like I'm watching that and I see like the light lit up, and
Yeah.
I see the phrase, each taken from their ability to give to those in need or something like.
Mhm.
It's that quote. I don't know it verbatim because I've never really read the book, but I've I've read the Four Idiots guide for it, so I know somewhat. So so there's that. But like I'm seeing quotes from him there, and I'm thinking, great, this is perfect because you've got these people who are playing politics over and over and over again, and they can't see the obvious right under their nose that they're being played.
Wait, did you just say you have the Idiot's Guide to Communism?
No, I mean, it was the. You know how there was those like yellow fronted synopsis books that was like
Oh.
like this book for idiots or whatever, or this TV show
Communism
for
for Dummies.
idiots.
Yeah.
It was one on Karl Marx's main book for like research
Yeah.
and study purposes.
Cliff Notes?
Cliff Notes, that's
Hey.
it.
Oh, okay.
But
I
the books
really
were
wish there was
literally
Communism for
titled.
Dummies, though.
Well, there probably is, but I mean, like, the books were literally titled, whatever the book or TV show name was for idiots, and it was just Cliff Notes.
This feels like I just looked up the movies with the most laughs per minute. This feels like that. It's Airplane, by the way. It's 3 laughs per minute. This feels like that, but satires per minute.
So
It is.
I looked up Communism for Dummies book. There isn't one, but there is Communism for Kids.
Oh, wow.
Adorable.
You got to know both sides.
I live.
Both sides.
I apparently live 20 minutes away from his grave. That's fun and a thing.
Karl
that I should
Marx?
visit. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
He's also like weirdly also by Douglas Adams's grave, which I kind of love.
Hot take, not my favorite Marx brother.
Wow.
Yeah, you strike me as more of a Groucho guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe Zeppo, I don't know.
I'll take either. Is there anything else in your notes there, Will, that you want to touch on?
For
I mean-
dummies, that's what it was.
Like, basically just kind of me refreshing my memory as to what the fuck actually happens in this movie. Because it's just so much. So many characters doing so many things, and you're just like, okay, now there's an ice cream truck floating. And so just to kind of like get the connection going.
Mhm.
Justin Timberlake's character was a victim of friendly fire. That's why his face is all messed up, and why he's addicted to drugs. Drugs provided to him by Martin Kefauver, the homeboy.
The
He's got
son of
the
his
do-rag.
plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who gets drafted into the military and then decides he wants to kill himself, but then he doesn't, and then anyway. But they're pimps. And pimps don't commit. Actually, so he does end up killing himself at the end. He swan dives off the top of that ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Doing the Jesus pose again. And then both. I did find this relatively clever. The twins, the Sean William Scott twins, Ronald and Roland Tavener. They just inverted 2 of the letters.
That is pretty clever.
Why one of them wouldn't know that's not his name, I don't know. There's amnesia going on. I actually genuinely like the scene where he's like in the mirror and his reflection is delayed.
Yeah.
Because he traveled 4 seconds into the past, or 4 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that. There are shots in this movie that I genuinely enjoy, and that are wild, and the rest of it is either hilarious or confusing.
Yeah.
But as like, and they hint at it, like every time he opens up his hand, he's looking at it, like the glow and everything, and they make contact. I don't really know what to make of the ending. They do some weird thing with his eyeball. That's another Donnie Darko connection. He gets shot in the face, and his eyeball is all janky, kind of like Frank, Frank the bunny. Yeah, I guess he just can't get Donnie Darko out of his system, so he keeps kind of reusing tropes from it and hopes that it'll work. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know. Like maybe like the world ends is it gets remade? Is he like the new savior? Is this like a Christian allegory? I don't really know. Yeah,
because there was a lot of like Christian symbolism in it. I mean, the first shot we get of Justin Timberlake, he's like polishing off reading the Bible. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, you're right. Like, almost everyone dies in like, or like does something in the Christ pose.
Yeah.
And like, there's something, and like, there was some that I'm like, some satire or some like symbols that I'm like, I'm just too dumb to catch what he's putting down. Like, he's leaning towards something, and I'm just not picking it up.
Yeah, and I think like there's also like Jericho Kane, JC, Jesus Christ.
Right.
And then his real name is BS, which is hilarious.
That is very funny.
But also like vague, like at the end, I think it might have had something to do in the graphic novel where they expounded on this, but like he's covered in tattoos that are religious symbolism.
Yeah. Right.
That are what his tattoos are. And I think at some point in some iteration of the script, or maybe they actually say it and I missed it, that the true savior will present itself in the end times. And as the Mega Zeppelin is about to explode on his back, he bleeds through his shirt and it's Jesus. It's a picture of Jesus.
If they just that Jesus tattoo he has on his back,
right?
Yeah.
If they didn't do that in the movie, it makes sense that it would do that.
Yeah. So I now think that was probably detailed in the graphic novel.
Yeah. And then throughout the movie in the crawler, they kept on talking about how like there's a mega church that's like all over the country.
I did catch that.
Each time they show it, it says that like the crowd is expected to grow, this, like this much in size, and this much in size, and this much in size. And the longer the movie goes, the bigger the crowd gets. So it's like every time, it's like more people are going to show up, more people are going to show up. There's a certain aspect to the politics in this country that is so tied to our version of Christianity that that's pretty much why all of that's showing up, as far as I'm concerned. So, like, you can't satirize U.S. politics without satirizing Christianity.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. That puts a lot of what I had seen into context and wasn't quite able to place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait for Southland Tales 2.
I can't.
It'll just be a repeat. It's just going to be different names, but it's going to be the same exact premise.
Same thing. They have social media to pull from, which means things will happen faster. But like you're right. A lot of it's not still hyper relevant.
It's not going to be a sequel. It's going to be a spin-off. Songs of the Southland.
Oh no.
I mean, they could.
Anything else we want to touch on? I
will say this. When my partner and I first got together, it was actually pretty close to. It was within the region of COVID happening and that kind of thing. But I made her watch Miami Connection, which she loves. She allowed me to put the Miami Connection poster in the bathroom. So I was like, oh, she loves bad movies. So I had her watch this. Not the same effect.
No.
So, but however, I was kind of watching it while she was in and out of the room, and she kept stopping to kind of like watch it a little bit. She's like, I kind of want to watch this again, and I hate it.
There you go.
But it's just like it's too out there not to appreciate in some fashion.
I kind of want to watch it again. Like I had to rent it for the show, and I'm like, I still got like 40 hours on the rental. Maybe I'll watch it again. Just
It's also telling that I've owned 3 versions of this movie. Like I bought the DVD when it first came out. I eventually tracked down the Blu-ray later on because I knew it had a commentary track that I wanted to listen to, and it's just Richard Kelly trying to explain the plot for the entire movie. He's like, and in this scene, the reason why he's doing that is because, well, in this scene, that, and it's just like,
okay,
neat. So it's kind of entertaining on its own. And then I bought Arrow did the can cut 2-disc version, so it has the original Blu-ray and the new one.
Okay.
And I think that it has like a slew of extra features, like essays, interviews. I think there's like an animated short that's like tied to it somehow. But yeah, that's a fun disc. They might still have that available. But
I really can't wait tomorrow for me to like wake up to Alan having watched this again, like with like Pepe Sylvia style text messages. Like the reason that he had the prosthetic nose is because in this scene there's this thing, and it actually is satirizing this thing on this thing. Like I cannot wait.
I just
I can do that for you now, Devin. I can do that for you.
I just have the bulletin board with all the pins and the string connecting everything.
Exactly.
Oh, it's gonna be like the Charlie.
Yeah.
Yep. So Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah. No, I love anything that satirizes American culture, and this was just a giant needle in the vein for that. So
it certainly was.
Like
it was everything.
Yeah, it was everything down to like how the media talks about politics to, just the way people are in public. Like it was great. I don't know, but like
yeah. Oh, there's the guy with the American flag mohawk.
Yeah.
Barfing all over himself. That scene was fun.
That's a satire in itself. Show me that picture. That's already satire.
Like I don't even know who that is. Like I've tried to look up on IMDb and I can he's one of the people that doesn't have a headshot.
Oh,
and
wow.
he's also I don't think he's famous. I think he just might be a dude.
Because he's the one that shows up later and shoots the guy's wife in the studio.
Yeah.
In the room with
him and Will Sasso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which he's Raiden from the Mortal Kombat movie, right? Because when they did that scene in the ice cream truck and they're selling the blanks
for Lambert, yeah.
Yeah, like he was like he started talking and I'm like Raiden because he was like it was like the way he was talking and everything. He either decided that the role wasn't important enough for him to care, so he just pulled like a character that he did before, and it just happened to be Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many ways you can say "Get the fuck out of my ice cream truck, you Cro-Magnon bitch."
You know what?
Which was something that was thought of, put on paper, given to someone else to say, and they did it on camera.
And then probably had to do it again in ADR.
Oh yeah, that was that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's funny, like you have all these SNL alums in this movie, and then just Will Sasso from Mad TV. Like,
yeah.
And every time he was on screen, I was waiting for lemons to pop out of his mouth, like he used to do on Vine.
When Vine was a thing, remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
When Vine was a thing, he made one of him in the shower, and he's got shampoo on top of his head and a beard made of shampoo. Michael McDonald, and he's singing Michael McDonald.
Every time I hear Michael McDonald, that's all I can think of is Will Sasso.
Do yourself a favor and just YouTube search. There's like a 5-minute loop of this because it's only like 3 seconds long. But YouTube search Will Sasso, Michael McDonald, and just take it away.
There it is.
Yeah,
I have it. I'm ready.
I think I'm gonna have to play that at the end of the show when I
Please
put it on the podcast feed.
Play us out, Sass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Will, thanks for coming. Like, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate that.
We'll definitely have to have you on.
Fun.
We'll definitely have to have you on to talk about Miami Connection.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Miami Connection. Also, I did a bunch of research on Sunshine before we actually settled on Southland Tales.
Nice.
Mostly just I was researching why it failed critically, and it just had to do with the summer release schedule.
Ah,
That sucks.
so
Um,
real quick for the listeners at home, where can they find you online, Will?
I'm online. Facebook. Don't look for me there because I just get in arguments with people. Mostly people condemning the Star Wars fandom for being too woke. I'm on Instagram and Threads. Will Smith illustration. That's Will with one L. I'm also now on Kara, which is a new art app that doesn't use AI or any algorithms that you need to game. I don't really Twitter much, but you can definitely find Southtown on both Instagram and Facebook. Southtown Comics should get you there. It's got a nice bright purple icon. And then we've got an official website, southtowncomic.com. You can get yourself the comic, either print or digital, and a bunch of other merch like t-shirts, hats, patches. I think we have like a faux bomber jacket too, if that's your thing. But yeah, check it out if it sounds like your thing. Got some previews and we're dropping some new stuff. So hopefully we'll have 3 issues out by the end of this year. So
Wow.
Awesome.
yeah.
So be sure to go check that out and support Southtown, support Will's art. You can find You Have to Watch This podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Will, thank you again for joining us.
No, thank you guys so much. It was great chatting with you guys.
And until next time, for You Have to Watch This podcast, I'm Alan.
I am Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And we will see you next week.